Cammy dropped the axe on Tommy as the president of MTech's. Cammy's self-imposed prowess has really broken through this season, fueled mainly by greed and a false sense of confidence. Tommy tries to tell Cammy the truth about her risky maneuvering, going all in on a 10% chance of hitting gas, and the truth just doesn't fit into Cammy's business strategy, likening her to a high-stakes gambler. If MTech is the Titanic, consider Cammy the captain going down with the ship, and Tommy, I guess, Rose floating at sea. This show can't exist without Tommy, so expect him to land on his feet in due time. Another positive takeaway from Landman Season 2 includes Cooper asserting himself as a leader of his drilling crew, which includes his former superior, Boss. While he does come off as cocky and even a bit entitled, his comeback story is more redeeming this time around, considering how broken and beaten he was last season. That said, both Cooper and Ainsley are shielded by inherent nepotism in this episode, which makes them both harder to relate to or root for. While horrific and downright shocking, the final scene of Landman Season 2, Episode 9, in which Cooper fights off Ariana's would-be assaulter, added a much-needed jolt of lightning as this season limps toward the finish line. Other than this, Landman Season 2, Episode 9 mostly offered more long-winded circular filler, off-base subplots, and soapy romances that simply fail to satisfy or entertain. There's a very specific kind of disappointment that only comes from a Taylor Sheridan show losing its grip. Not the quiet, dignified kind where you drift away after a few uneven episodes, but the loud, frustrating kind where you keep watching because you remember how damn good it used to be. Landman Season 2, Episode 9, titled Plans, Tears and Sirens, is that moment. The penultimate episode that should have been tightening screws instead rips them out entirely, leaving this once promising neo-western sprawled across the floor like a busted oil pipe spraying narrative sludge everywhere. Many critics felt this subplot was heavy-handed and outdated. Instead of showing character growth for Ainsley, it reinforces her status as a spoiled brat who needs Angela Ollie Larder to rescue her with a luxury hotel suite and a housing waiver. It felt like a distraction from the oil field grit. The episode ends on a harrowing note. Ariana Paulina is victimized in a brutal attempted assault by a former customer. Cooper Jacob Laughlin arrives just in time, but his response is so savage that it blurs the line between heroism and felony assault. The final shot reveals the entire beating was caught on a security camera. This sets up a massive legal hurdle for Cooper in the finale, potentially ruining his rising career as a junior leader in the oil fields. On 2 includes Cooper asserting himself as a leader of his drilling crew, which includes his former superior, Boss. While he does come off as cocky and even a bit entitled, his comeback story is more redeeming this time around, considering how broken and beaten he was last season. That said, both Cooper and Ainsley are shielded by inherent nepotism in this episode, which makes them both harder to relate to or root for. Billy Bob Thornton's performance remains the anchor, and the shift in power at MTech is genuinely exciting. The college roommate subplot feels like a filler from a different show, and the pacing in the middle drags. The takeaway: it's a shock value episode designed to leave everyone in a state of ruin before the finale. That if there's one reason I'm still watching Landman at all, it's Billy Bob Thornton. Tommy Norris remains the gravitational center of this show, and Episode 9 finally gives him something resembling meaningful conflict. Cammy's decision to remove him as president of MTech is the most consequential move the season has made, and it almost works. Cooper almost feels earned. Almost. Watching him give orders to Boss, a man who once outranked him, has a certain poetic symmetry. Season 1 left Cooper physically and emotionally wrecked, and seeing him rebuild himself should be satisfying, but Landman can't help stepping on its own toes. Cooper's newfound authority is undercut by the king himself as a crew leader. Is one of the few arcs this season that uses the same nepotistic safety net that cushions Ainsley. He doesn't rise because the system rewards merit. He rises because the system bends around him. That makes his confidence read less like growth and more like entitlement, and it dulls the impact of what should be a triumphant comeback. Angela is the lone outlier, but only because she exists in a heightened, almost cartoonish register. She's sexual, explosive, emotional, and permanently insulated from consequences by wealth. Everyone else, from Cammy to Ariana to Rebecca, oscillates between dominance and breakdown, rarely allowed to simply exist without being corrected or managed by the men around him. Tommy Norris is back at the center of the action in episode 9, titled Plans, Tears and Sirens. He meets with Cammy, Demi Moore, Galeno, Andy Garcia, and the others involved in the new drilling project in Louisiana, where Cammy tells him that she now understands the rush of risk that drove Monty, John Hamm, to speculate in oil the way he did. Tommy tells her that he no longer feels that rush, since it once cost me everything. He also points out that Monty died chasing that rush, which she disagrees with, saying that rush allowed Monty to really live. Ainsley, Michelle Randolph, heads off to cheerleading camp at college for a week, leaving Angela, Ollie Larder, an emotional mess. It doesn't go well when Ainsley meets her roommate, who identifies with they/them pronouns, doesn't want any animal products in their shared spaces and offers up a long list of other expectations about living arrangement when Ainsley goes to her admissions counselor to see about switching roommates. It turns out to be the same faculty member who actively opposed her admission in the first place, and she tells her that she needs to act like an adult and settle whatever problems she has with her roommate herself. That leads her to call Angela. Of course, swoops in to set the situation right in the most over-the-top Angela way humanly possible. The police are on their way as the scene ends, and it's unclear just how badly the man is hurt, or even if he's going to live. What is clear, however, is that the entire incident was caught on security cameras, which just may come in handy if the man tries to spin the situation to his advantage. It could also backfire, since the footage will clearly show Ariana kicking the man once he's down and Cooper saying he intends to kill him. TL, Sam Elliott, is becoming better friends with his physical therapist, Cheyenne, who's actually a stripper Tommy hired so he won't be alone all the time. It turns out her name is actually Penny, and they have an unexpectedly sweet rapport despite being decades apart in age. Overall, Landman, Season 2, Episode 9 has been viewed as a turning point where the series loses control, with many fans and critics hoping for a stronger resolution in the upcoming finale. The episode's mix of filler content and significant plot twists has left viewers divided, reflecting a broader concern about the direction of the series as a whole. It was rough, but it wasn't nearly as rough as what Ainsley got saddled with. Of course, for 1 week of cheer camp, I would have been fine making someone else's life a living hell, just to do it. Pagan, I would have crushed your little